Hey everybody, Steve Joy here. I just wanted to talk about Wizards of the Coast. I wanted to weigh in. Apparently they're changing the OGL, which is the open game license, which I'm sure all of you know. Was established in the year 2000, and it's what lets everyone use 5e rules to make their own content. I had talked about this previously, how I was kind of worried about 1D&D and what it might mean to the OSR world. I was under the impression that Hasbro might come after the OSR community and try and monetize it. My suspicions were based basically on that they were trying to increase profits, and in trying to increase profits, have basically really changed Magic the Gathering. And so I expected, well, if they're going to do that, they're probably going to look at their other properties too, and their main property being Wizards of the Coast and 5th edition, and that they might try and monetize that. And then it occurred to me that they might come after the OSR, and I think to some extent I might have been kind of accurate. The new license, what's been leaked of it now the actual license hasn't been officially released yet. I think that they just leaked a license of it just to see what the reaction would be. And if you're on Twitter and stuff, then you know the reaction's been quite strong. People don't seem to like it very much, and I think with good reason. I'm not particularly a fan of it. For one thing, it basically moves all of your IP over to Wizards of the Coast, so they can publish it, they can use it, they can ban it, they can tell you that you're not allowed to publish it. It gives them basically total control over your own IP being intellectual property. So you also have to notify them when you produce a product for 1D&D. But also for 5th edition now. I mean, it's going to be going forward once it's officially released, if they release it. Now, I've got, crossed my fingers, I've got some hope that maybe the backlash has caused them to rethink or maybe pause. It's not much of a hope. I think Hasbro, I don't think Hasbro really understands the D&D culture. I mean, if they did, they wouldn't have tried to produce this license in the first place. It's going to fundamentally change the hobby, I believe, but it might be in a good way. So the open game license, it's only going to apply. It only applies to content that refers to the SRDs. So this is content that's being approved for use. If you use the SRDs to create your content, then obviously you're going to be covered by this license. However, if you don't use that, then you don't have to use the OGL. You can still use the D&D mechanics because mechanics aren't copyrightable. So I don't think it's too big a threat to the OSR in that way. Simply don't include the license with your new products. I was, for myself, for example, I was contemplating putting out an OSR monster manual. And to that end, I think I probably still will. At some point, I just won't include an OGL, and I just won't include any SDR stuff, any of that stuff in it, and I should be fine, because you literally cannot copyright rules. And there's been 20 years of being able to use the SRDs, or being able to use the D20 rules. I really don't see how it could be all that big an issue. I think mostly this is a move on the part of, Hasbro to try and control the content. They'll be able to control, what is published in the rules. Politically, they want to control, what people can put in there. I suppose make it woke or communist or whatever the hell all that stuff is. I, I really don't understand all that stuff. So, but uh, but anyway, that's the idea there. So, in my opinion, that's what it looks like at any rate. And so basically, what this means for me moving forward is that I probably won't be producing stuff for 5e. So, for example, my rules that I've been working on were initially going to be 5e compatible. It wasn't that I was going to use the OGL. I wasn't going to use the OGL. It was just that you would be able to use 5e monsters with my system. But it occurs to me now that that might be kind of dangerous because they might be able to claim that it's a derivative. And perhaps it is. I don't know. But at any rate, I'm going to go with a whole different set of rules that have nothing to do with the D&D. There's still going to be OSR feeling. I think people will be quite surprised. This is going to be it's going to be, I think, a good rule set, but I've just taken those elements out of it, or I'm working on taking those elements out of it right now. So, because I don't want the threat, I just don't need to deal with it. I'm a small creator. I don't, I can't deal with that stuff, so I'm not going to bother. But and I think that maybe a lot of creators aren't going to bother with it, because to be honest, I mean the idea of Wizards of the Coast being able to just completely use my IP if I use their license, that's extremely unappealing to me. I don't want to see my work being reprinted by Wizards of the Coast, or being claimed by them, or being used by them, like my artwork, for example. It's one of the reasons I've never gotten into the Dungeon Masters Guild, is because, again, I didn't like the license there, the requirements where if I put my art in there, I would basically lose control of my art and stuff for that. So I just stayed right away from it. Not interested. I'll just create my own game. And that's good enough for me. And then if I want to create some OSR stuff, I still can. I just won't include the OGL. I'll just use D20 mechanics. Don't even have to call them that if I don't want to. But it's pretty easy to do. I mean, you can't copyright mechanics, so, the idea of a 1D&D was, initially when I heard about it, I sort of expected all of this to happen, and I said so in my video. If you go back, you'll see. And I was told, oh no, that isn't the case. But I know how these big outfits work. So I like the idea of the open D&D. So the idea there is, I believe, my understanding from what I've seen, is just that the SRDs, or the ability to create content, OSR content or D&D content, should be open. And I think people are really pushing for that. And I think that there are probably people working on sort of an open rule set as we speak that'll save the OSR and stuff, but really that's not necessary. As long as you don't reference the SRDs, I think you're fine. Even 1D&D, if you made stuff that was sort of compatible but you didn't use the SRDs, and instead of saying it's 1D&D compatible, if you just said it's 6th edition compatible or something like that, you're probably safe too. You might get a cease and desist letter, but you can just throw those in the garbage. They're useless. They don't mean anything. Unless actual litigation follows, who cares? So I imagine Hasbro at some point will start firing off cease and desist letters at people. And I hope that they know enough to just ignore them and throw them in the garbage. That's just my opinion. I'm not a lawyer or anything, but from what I've I've been around, and from what I understand, they don't mean anything. They're just basically a notice that you might end up in litigation. And I mean, if that happens, then you stop, right? I mean, that's not really a big deal. yeah, so that's it. I kind of have a big announcement. This is all happening at kind of a funny time. I have the opportunity maybe to retire early from my job. I work a full-time job, 40 hours a week, and this is just basically a hobby. I would love to turn it into something more than a hobby. I used to work on it very hard back when I had a lot more free time. This was some years ago, and I was doing my map-a-days and stuff like that, and I'd love to get back into that. But unfortunately, I just haven't had the time over these years. But this opportunity is presenting itself, and I'm really thinking of availing myself of it. But there are a lot of considerations, and I have to be very careful with it. So I'm slowly pondering the idea. But I just thought that I thought that I would just let people know. I'm kind of excited at it, but I'm kind of worried about it too. At the same time, it would be a very big move, but I think it would be an exciting one. I think this is kind of an exciting time in the hobby because Wizard of the Coast has kind of fired their guns right now over the bow of gamers. And even if they decided oh, they're going to just stick with the original license, I think that this is going to change the hobby anyway. I think it has put people on notice about Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast and their intentions towards creators and their intentions towards players. And honestly, I mean, personally, I'm not very impressed with it. And from what I get from Twitter, I think a lot of other people aren't very impressed with it either. And so I am predicting that this is going to cause some pretty big changes in the game community. So my rule set that I'm planning to put out here, the idea behind it, I will include an open license with it so that other people that want to create content using the rules will be able to. That's my intention. I want them to be as user-friendly as possible. If people want to make variations, whatever. Again, you can't really copyright rules, but still, I think that including a license like that with my rules would be a good idea, and so I'm going to do it. I really love the idea of that. Yeah, so that's basically all I have to say on this topic, and sorry I haven't made a video in a while, but I had a very busy Christmas, and not only that, I managed to get sick over Christmas, and then, well, I'm recovered now, or mostly recovered now, but it was quite horrendous. Quite a few of us got sick, actually. It made for an interesting Christmas, interesting New Year's. But anyway, I'm good now. And so I'm looking forward to getting back into making videos. So thank you very much for watching. Please leave a comment. What do you think about the OGL? What do you think about what I'd really like to hear what you might think about this, or where do you think it's going? What do you think the impact is going to be on the RPG community? And that kind of thing. I would really like to hear feedback. All right, thank you very much, and I will talk to you later. Take care. Bye.